Welcome friends, back to our channel, History Coins HD. These Washington quarter dollar coins make people rich. Let's find out why. Don't miss out one of these. Who know a single coin make you rich? Let's start this. Coin 1. We are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood yet secretly exciting coins in American pocket change history. Imagine holding a coin that millions of people spent without a second thought, a coin that quietly passed through hands, cash registers, and wallets for decades. But hidden among those ordinary pieces is a version that serious collectors stop and stare at. Today's story is all about the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1968 with the D mint mark. At first glance, this coin looks simple. George Washington's calm portrait faces left, strong and dignified, just as it has since the very first Washington quarters were released. On the reverse, the proud eagle stands with wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches, a powerful symbol of strength and peace. But the magic of the 1968 D quarter is not about flashy gold color or dramatic design changes. Its power lies in history, metal composition changes, minting pressure, and small details that most people never notice. 1968 was a turning point year. Just a few years earlier, the United States stopped making circulating silver quarters. Collectors at the time were still adjusting to the new copper-nickel plaid coins, and many believed these newer quarters would never be valuable. That belief caused people to ignore quality, errors, and special strike characteristics. This is exactly why some 1968 D quarters today are far more desirable than anyone expected. The Denver Mint produced a large number of quarters that year, but quantity alone does not decide rarity. Condition, strike quality, and minting mistakes are what separate a common coin from a collector's dream. Some 1968 D quarters were struck with unusually sharp details, showing strong hairlines on Washington's portrait and crisp feathers on the eagle. These high-quality strikes stand out immediately to experienced collectors. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where excitement truly begins. Certain 1968 D quarters exist with off-center strikes, where the design is pushed noticeably toward one side. Others show double die characteristics, especially visible in the lettering of "In God We Trust" or the date itself. There are also examples with clipped planchets, where a small curved section of the coin is missing due to a minting mistake. Each of these errors tells a story of a split-second malfunction at the mint, frozen forever in metal. Another detail collectors carefully inspect is the edge and surface texture. Some coins display unusual lamination errors, where the metal layer begins to peel or separate. Others have weak strikes on one side but strong detail on the other, creating dramatic contrast. Even small die cracks, tiny raised lines caused by stressed minting dies, can add collector appeal when clearly visible. For coin lovers, the thrill is not just about money. It is about the hunt, the knowledge, and the feeling of discovering something special in an ordinary place. A 1968 D Washington quarter might still be hiding in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or a collection inherited from a family member. That possibility keeps collectors searching and watching closely. A professional grading plays a huge role in value. When a coin survives decades with minimal wear, strong luster, and clean surfaces, its status changes completely. High-grade examples are far scarcer than people realize, because most quarters were heavily used in everyday transactions. Finding one that looks nearly new is like stepping back in time. So if you love coins, history, and hidden treasures, this is a coin you should never ignore. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, the details, and the surfaces. Take your time. Sometimes the most exciting discoveries come from the most ordinary places. And now, let's talk about what everyone waits for. In the real market today, a regular circulated 1968 D Washington quarter is usually worth only a small amount above face value. However, high-grade uncirculated examples can sell for tens of dollars. Coins with strong minting errors, especially dramatic off-center strikes or clear double die features, have reached auction prices ranging from hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Coin 2. Imagine a single year that completely changed United States coinage forever. A year when silver quietly disappeared from everyday money, creating confusion, rumors, hoarding, and unexpected rarities. That year is 1965, and the coin in focus today is the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1960-5. At first look, this quarter feels familiar. George Washington's portrait still faces left, calm and powerful, carrying forward a design that Americans had trusted for decades. On the reverse, the eagle stands proudly with spread wings, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing strength balanced with peace. But behind this familiar design hides a dramatic story of transition, mistakes, and hidden treasures that make the 1965 quarter one of the most talked about coins among collectors. 1965 was the very first year the Washington quarter was struck without silver for circulation. For generations, quarters contained real silver, and people trusted their weight and sound. When the change to copper-nickel clad coins happened, the public reacted strongly. Many believed silver coins would disappear overnight, and the mints were under extreme pressure to produce massive quantities of new quarters as quickly as possible. That rush created conditions where errors, weak strikes, and unusual variations slipped through. One of the biggest reasons collectors study the 1965 quarter so closely is the absence of a mint mark. To discourage hoarding and confusion, the United States Mint temporarily removed mint marks entirely. This decision created mystery, because coins from different mints looked identical. Yet within those identical-looking quarters, sharp-eyed collectors later discovered subtle differences in strike quality, surface texture, and die characteristics. Errors are where excitement truly builds. Some 1965 quarters were struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing and blank metal exposed. Others show double die features, especially in the date or the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. These doubling effects are not damage, they are mint-made mistakes that happened during die creation. There are also examples with clipped planchets, where a curved section is missing from the coin due to a cutting error before striking. Another fascinating category includes transitional errors. Although extremely rare, a small number of 1965 quarters are rumored and documented to have been struck on leftover silver planchets. These coins look slightly different, weigh more, and ring with a silver tone when tested. Such pieces are legendary among collectors and instantly draw attention at auctions. Surface errors also add to rarity. Lamination flaws, where the metal layer peels or cracks, occurred because of rushed metal preparation. Die cracks, appearing as raised lines across the coin, tell the story of worn and stressed minting equipment pushed beyond limits. Even weakly struck quarters, when paired with other unusual features, can become collectible varieties. Condition plays a massive role in desirability. Most 1965 quarters were heavily used in circulation, losing luster and detail quickly. Finding one today with full mint shine, sharp hair detail on Washington, and crisp eagle feathers is surprisingly difficult. High-grade examples are far scarcer than their original mintage numbers suggest. For coin lovers, this quarter represents more than metal. It represents change, uncertainty, and history frozen in time. Every mark, error, and variation whispers a story from a year when American money transformed forever. That is why collectors listen carefully, study patiently, and never rush when examining a 1965 Washington quarter. Now, speaking about value in today's real market, most circulated 1965 Washington quarters are generally worth only face value. However, uncirculated examples in high grade can sell for tens of dollars. Coins with clear and dramatic mint errors, such as off-center strikes, double die features, or rare transitional silver strikes, have achieved auction prices ranging from several $100s to many thousands of dollars, depending on authenticity, condition, and collector demand. Coin 3. We step into a year that many people overlook, yet experienced collectors quietly respect. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1971 may seem ordinary at first glance, but hidden within this everyday coin is a story of changing mint technology, overlooked errors, and surprising collector demand. This is the kind of coin that rewards patience, sharp eyes, and true love for numismatic history. When you first look at the 1971 Washington quarter, you see the familiar face of George Washington, strong, calm, and timeless. By this point, Americans had already accepted copper-nickel clad coinage as normal. Silver was gone, and people spent quarters freely without a second thought. That casual attitude is exactly why certain 1971 quarters have become so interesting today. They were never saved, never protected, and never expected to matter. The early 1970s were a period of adjustment for the United States Mint. New machinery, high-speed production, and massive demand for circulating coins created conditions where mistakes happen more often than most people realize. The Philadelphia Mint produced quarters without a mint mark, while the Denver and San Francisco mints added their own subtle differences. To the average person, these coins looked identical, but collectors know that small details make all the difference. Strike quality is one of the first things experts examine. Many 1971 quarters were struck weakly, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's chest feathers. When a coin appears with unusually strong detail and full luster, it immediately stands out. These sharp strikes are far scarcer than worn examples and are highly desirable to collectors building high-grade sets. Errors are where this coin truly becomes exciting. Off-center strikes from 1971 exist where part of the design is shifted, creating dramatic visual appeal. Some quarters show double die characteristics, particularly noticeable in the lettering of Liberty or the date. These are not scratches or damage, but true mint errors created during die preparation. There are also examples of clipped planchets, where a curved section is missing due to a metal cutting mistake before the coin was struck. Die cracks and die breaks are another area collectors study closely. Raised lines across the surface or near the rim tell the story of overused dies pushed beyond their limits. In some cases, these cracks are bold and dramatic, turning a normal coin into a fascinating mint artifact. Lamination errors, where the metal surface begins to peel or bubble, also appear on some 1971 quarters and add significant interest. Condition remains one of the biggest challenges. Most 1971 quarters were heavily circulated. They passed through countless hands, vending machines, and cash drawers. Finding one today with clean surfaces, strong original shine, and minimal marks is far more difficult than people expect. High-grade examples feel almost frozen in time, as if they were pulled straight from a mint roll and forgotten for decades. For collectors, this coin represents more than value. It represents the thrill of discovery. The idea that something so common can hide something so special keeps people searching. Coin lovers listen carefully to stories like this because they understand that rarity is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it whispers through tiny details that only careful eyes notice. So if you ever come across a 1971 Washington quarter, don't rush past it. Look closely at the date, the mint mark or lack of one, the sharpness of the design, and the surface itself. Every detail matters. This coin reminds us that even modern-era coins can hold history, mystery, and excitement. Now, when it comes to real market value today, most circulated 1971 Washington quarters are generally worth only face value. However, uncirculated examples in high grades can sell for tens of dollars. Coins with strong mint errors, such as clear off-center strikes, double die features, or dramatic die cracks, have reached auction prices ranging from hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Coin 4. We are uncovering a modern coin that most people spend without a second thought, yet collectors quietly search for with sharp eyes and steady hands. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1997 with the P mint mark may look ordinary, but hidden inside this familiar design is a story of modern minting pressure, overlooked rarity, and surprising errors that can turn a simple quarter into a true collector's prize. When you first see the 1997 P Washington quarter, everything feels familiar. George Washington's portrait remains strong and dignified, a design trusted by Americans for generations. The eagle on the reverse still spreads its wings proudly, symbolizing national strength. Because this coin comes from the late 20th century, many assume it has no chance of being valuable. That assumption is exactly what makes this coin interesting. By 1997, the United States Mint was producing coins at extremely high speeds to meet everyday demand. Philadelphia alone struck millions upon millions of quarters. Speed and volume often mean less time for careful inspection, and that is where collectors find opportunity. Small mistakes, die wear, and metal flaws slipped into circulation unnoticed, creating varieties that only careful collectors recognize today. One of the first things experts look for is strike quality. Many 1997 P quarters were weakly struck, especially around Washington's hair and the eagle's chest feathers. When a coin appears with unusually sharp details, full luster, and strong rim definition, it immediately stands out. These well-struck examples are far scarcer than people expect, because most coins were quickly worn down through heavy circulation. Errors make this coin even more exciting. Off-center strikes exist where part of the design is shifted, creating a dramatic and eye-catching appearance. Some examples show double die characteristics, especially visible in the lettering of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even the date itself. These are mint-made errors, not damage, and they add serious collector interest when clear and strong. Clipped planchets are another fascinating category. These occur when the metal blank is cut incorrectly before striking, leaving a curved or straight section missing from the coin. Lamination errors, where the metal surface bubbles or begins to peel, also appear on some 1997 quarters due to metal bonding issues. Die cracks and die breaks, seen as raised lines or blobs of metal, tell the story of overworked dies pushed beyond their limits. Condition is everything for modern coins. Most 1997 P quarters were used heavily in daily commerce. Finding one today that looks nearly new, with clean surfaces, original shine, and minimal contact marks, is surprisingly difficult. High-grade examples feel like time capsules, untouched by the decades of use that destroyed most others. For collectors, this coin represents a powerful lesson. Rarity is not always about age or silver content. Sometimes rarity is about survival, mistakes, and overlooked details. That is why coin lovers listen carefully and examine every quarter closely. The thrill comes from knowing that a hidden treasure could still be sitting in pocket change, unnoticed by the world. So the next time you see a 1997 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, slow down. Look at the strike, the surfaces, the lettering, and the edges. What seems common at first glance may tell a very different story to those who truly understand coins. And now, speaking about real market value today, most circulated 1997 P Washington quarters are generally worth face value. However, high-grade uncirculated examples can sell for tens of dollars. Coins with strong and dramatic mint errors, such as clear off-center strikes, bold double die features, or major die breaks, have achieved auction prices ranging from hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Coin 5. We are uncovering a Washington quarter that almost everyone has seen, almost everyone has spent, and almost no one truly understands. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1989 with the D mint mark may look like just another modern coin, but for collectors who know what to look for, this quarter holds hidden stories, overlooked rarity, and exciting mint errors that can transform an ordinary pocket coin into something truly special. When you first hold a 1989 D Washington quarter, it feels familiar and unremarkable. George Washington's portrait appears calm and timeless, unchanged for decades. The eagle on the reverse stands proud, wings spread wide, symbolizing strength and unity. Because this coin comes from the late 20th century, many people assume it has no collector value. That assumption is exactly why this coin deserves attention. During the late 1980s, the United States Mint was producing coins at enormous speed. The Denver Mint struck millions of quarters every year to keep up with daily circulation needs. High-speed production meant worn dies, rushed quality control, and heavy pressure on minting equipment. In that environment, small but important mistakes happened, and those mistakes are what collectors search for today. Strike quality is one of the first details experts examine. Many 1989 D quarters show weak strikes, especially in Washington's hair above the ear and the eagle's chest feathers. When a coin appears with unusually sharp detail, strong rims, and original mint luster, it immediately stands out. These sharply struck examples are far scarcer than people expect because most coins were heavily circulated soon after release. Errors add another layer of excitement. Off-center strikes from 1989 D exist, where the design is visibly shifted, leaving blank metal exposed. Some quarters show double die characteristics, most often visible in the lettering of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date. These doubling effects were created during die preparation and are true mint errors, not damaged. Collectors also look closely for clipped planchets. These occur when the metal blank is cut incorrectly before striking, resulting in a curved or straight section missing from the coin. Lamination errors are another fascinating discovery, where the metal surface begins to peel, bubble, or crack due to bonding flaws. Die cracks and die breaks, seen as raised lines or blobs of metal, tell the story of dies that were used far beyond their normal lifespan. Condition plays a massive role in desirability. Most 1989 D quarters lived hard lives in circulation. They passed through vending machines, registers, and pockets for years. Finding one today with clean surfaces, minimal marks, full luster, and strong strike quality is surprisingly difficult. High-grade examples feel almost frozen in time and are eagerly sought by collectors building top-quality sets. For coin lovers, this quarter represents a powerful reminder that age alone does not define rarity. Modern coins can be just as exciting as older silver issues when they display unusual characteristics, strong preservation, or mint-made errors. That is why experienced collectors slow down, examine carefully, and never dismiss a coin simply because it looks common. So the next time a 1989 D Washington quarter passes through your hands, take a closer look. study the details, the edges, the lettering, and the surfaces. What appears ordinary may carry a hidden story waiting to be discovered. This is the joy of coin collecting, the thrill of finding something special where no one else bothered to look. And now, when we talk about real market value today, most circulated 1989 D Washington quarters are generally worth only face value. However, high-grade uncirculated examples can sell for tens of dollars. Coins with strong and clearly visible mint errors, such as off-center strikes, bold double die features, major die cracks, or dramatic lamination errors, have achieved auction prices ranging from hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Coin 6. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1966 is not loud, flashy, or obviously rare, but its story is deep, and its secrets reward careful listeners and sharp-eyed coin lovers. When you first look at a 1966 Washington quarter, it feels familiar and calm. George Washington's portrait remains strong and dignified, a symbol Americans trusted for decades. On the reverse, the eagle stands proudly, wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches. Everything about the design feels normal, and that is exactly why this coin was overlooked for so long. 1966 was only the second year after silver was removed from circulating quarters. The public was still confused, hoarding older silver coins and spending newer ones quickly. To fight this hoarding, the United States Mint made a bold decision. Mint marks were completely removed. No P, no D, no S. Every quarter looked the same, no matter where it was struck. This decision created mystery and made later identification far more challenging, which is one reason collectors are so fascinated by this year. The pressure on the mint during this time was enormous. Millions of quarters were needed fast. New copper-nickel clad planchets were still being perfected, and mint workers were under constant demand to keep machines running. Under these conditions, quality control suffered, and errors quietly slipped into circulation. One of the first things collectors examine on a 1966 quarter is strike quality. Many were weakly struck, especially in Washington's hair details and the eagle's chest feathers. When a coin appears with unusually strong detail, bold rims, and original mint luster, it immediately stands out. These well-struck examples are far scarcer than people expect. Errors make this coin truly exciting. Off-center strikes exist where part of the design is shifted, leaving blank metal visible. Some quarters show double die characteristics, especially noticeable in the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. These are not signs of wear or damage, but true mint errors created during die preparation. Collectors also search for clipped planchets, where a curved or straight section of the coin is missing due to a cutting error before striking. Lamination errors are another key variety. These occur when the metal layers fail to bond properly, causing peeling, cracking, or bubbling on the surface. Die cracks and die breaks, appearing as raised lines or lumps of metal, tell the story of dies that were pushed far beyond their limits during this high-pressure era. There is also a legendary category that makes hearts race: transitional errors. Extremely rare 1966 quarters exist that were struck on leftover silver planchets. These coins weigh more, sound different, and shine differently. When authenticated, they become centerpieces of major collections and auction events. Condition is one of the greatest challenges for this coin. Most 1966 quarters were heavily circulated. They passed through countless hands during a time when nobody thought they mattered. Finding one today with clean surfaces, strong luster, and minimal marks is surprisingly difficult. High-grade examples feel like survivors from a chaotic chapter in mint history. For collectors, this coin represents more than money. It represents a turning point. A time when American coinage changed forever. Every error, every weak strike, and every unusual surface tells part of that story. That is why true coin lovers listen carefully, examine slowly, and never rush past a 1966 Washington quarter. So if you ever come across one, take your time. Look closely at the details, the edges, the lettering, and the surface. What seems ordinary may carry a hidden story that only patient collectors discover. And now, speaking about real market value today, most circulated 1966 Washington quarters are generally worth only face value. High-grade uncirculated examples can sell for tens of dollars. Quarters with strong mint errors, such as off-center strikes, double die features, clipped planchets, lamination errors, or rare transitional silver strikes, have reached auction prices ranging from hundreds of dollars to many thousands of dollars, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Coin 7. We are opening the door to a modern era Washington quarter that almost everyone has seen, yet very few truly understand. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1991 with the D mint mark looks ordinary at first glance, but beneath its familiar surface lies a story of heavy production, hidden varieties, and mint errors that serious collectors quietly search for every day. When you hold a 1991 D quarter in your hand, it feels like pure everyday change. George Washington's portrait appears calm and steady, a design that had already become a symbol of trust and continuity in American money. On the reverse, the eagle stands proud with wings spread wide, a design that had served the nation for decades. Because this coin comes from the early 1990s, many people assume it can never be rare or valuable. That assumption is exactly what allows special examples to slip by unnoticed. During this period, the Denver Mint was operating at extremely high speed. Millions of quarters were struck to meet the demands of commerce, vending machines, and daily transactions. When mints run at full capacity, dies wear down quickly, metal quality varies, and inspection becomes less precise. This environment creates the perfect conditions for collectible mistakes. One of the first things collectors study on a 1991 D quarter is the strength of the strike. Many examples show weakness in Washington's hair details, especially above the ear and near the forehead. The eagle's chest feathers and wing tips are also often soft. When a coin appears with unusually sharp details, strong rims, and original mint luster, it immediately attracts attention. These well-struck coins are much scarcer than worn examples because most were circulated almost immediately. Errors are where this quarter becomes truly exciting. Off-center strikes exist from 1991 D, where the design is visibly shifted, leaving blank metal exposed. These coins are dramatic and instantly collectible. Double die errors are another important variety. Some examples show noticeable doubling in the lettering of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even parts of the date. These are mint-created errors formed during die preparation, not damage from circulation. Collectors also watch closely for clipped planchets. These errors occur when the metal blank is cut incorrectly before striking, resulting in a missing curved or straight section of the coin. Lamination errors are another fascinating find, where the metal surface cracks, bubbles, or peels due to bonding problems in the alloy. Die cracks and die breaks, visible as raised lines or blobs of metal, reveal how hard the mint pushed its equipment during this high production era. Condition is one of the most important factors for this coin. The majority of 1991 D quarters were heavily used in daily life. They passed through countless hands, machines, and registers. Finding one today with clean surfaces, strong shine, minimal marks, and sharp strike quality is surprisingly difficult. High-grade examples feel like survivors, preserved against the odds. For coin lovers, this quarter delivers an important lesson. Rarity is not always about age or silver content. It can come from mistakes, quality, and survival. That is why experienced collectors slow down and look carefully at coins others ignore. The thrill is knowing that a hidden treasure could still be sitting in a pocket, a drawer, or a forgotten jar of change. So the next time you encounter a 1991 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, don't rush past it. Examine the details, the lettering, the edges, and the surface. Listen to what the coin is telling you. Sometimes the most exciting stories are whispered, not shouted. Now, when it comes to real market value today, most circulated 1991 D Washington quarters are generally worth only face value. High-grade uncirculated examples can sell for tens of dollars. Coins with strong and clearly visible mint errors, such as off-center strikes, bold double die features, major clipped planchets, or dramatic die cracks, have achieved auction prices ranging from hundreds of dollars to several $1,000s, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand.